The coronation of King Charles III took place at Westminster Abbey in London, England, in one of the most lavish and expensive services in history. Dignitaries from around the world flew in to celebrate the ascension of Charles and his wife Camilla to the throne of the former British Empire, which owned more than a quarter of the planet's land just over 100 years ago, but is now fulfilling a more ceremonial role, much like the monarchy itself. Celebrations and protests filled the streets across the United Kingdom and around the world, despite polls indicating ambivalence from citizens toward the ceremony. Perhaps they were more concerned about finding the money to afford food and electricity during an ongoing cost of living crisis. Rupert Holsworthy was there to witness the crowning of a new king, son of the recently departed Queen Elizabeth II, who will continue the great tradition of super wealthy people telling everyone else what to do.
Little can compare to the majesty of a royal coronation. A perfect sunrise, a lion devouring its prey, RuPaul winning yet another Emmy Award. So, in keeping with these monumental events, it was only fitting that an estimated £100 million was spent on heralding in the new King of Britain, Charles III, in a pared-back ceremony reflecting the hard times being felt by commoners across the United Kingdom, experiencing an ongoing cost of living crisis, plunging hundreds of thousands into poverty. The organising committee, codenamed Operation Golden Orb, has yet to disclose the official cost of the King's coronation, expected to be around 4 times more expensive than the previous record held by King George VI, and 5 times higher than the coronation of the King's mother, the glorious and recently departed Elizabeth II. INN's own Mabel and Dorothy Cankle were at Westminster Abbey, reporting on whether it was worth the money.
What a wonderful honour it was to experience history in the making with you, Dot, on behalf of everyone watching on INN.
Oh, it was great, Mabel. Especially because we didn't have to pay to be there.
I reckon that's what King Charles was thinking too as he made his way to Westminster Abbey in his £3.5 million golden carriage.
Oh, it was freezing, eh? All those people were soaked.
Well, soaking the public's an important part of the ceremony, Dot. The smart ones brought those warm, fluffy hats.
Yeah, that was clever.
All of King Charles's best friends were there. Katy Perry was there, looking lovely. And Lionel Richie, he's about the same age as Charles, you know.
No.
Yeah, he's a spunk, that Lionel is. Nick Cave rolled up, but everyone was too scared to sit near him.
Now, who was that by himself?
Nick Cave?
No, not Nick Cave. This one, the redhead one in the suit.
Yeah, that's the King's son, Harvey or something, remember?
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Oh, and there's the King's brother, Andrew. Good to see they've got him all wrapped up so he can keep his hands to himself throughout the ceremony.
Oh, that's a relief. I think Charles was ready to leave the carriage here. Let's listen into what he's saying to Camilla.
I just don't think their midfield's strong enough to make the top 8, darling. There are quite simply too many quality teams this year.
He's talking about your Bombers there, Dot.
Get lost, Mabel. It's those battered old Tigers he's talking about. You know it.
Look, they might be old, but they're premiership champions, most of them.
Come on, they don't have the run and gun you need in the modern game anymore.
I don't know. I suppose you went to the Dreamtime game then.
And miss my Bombers beating your mob by a point. I'm surprised you brought it up.
Oh, get lost, Dot. We've got the King barracking for us now.
Mabel, are we missing anything important that happened during the King's do?
Nah, don't worry about it. It took them 10 minutes just to announce all of the King's titles, remember?
Oh, yeah. Jeez, that was boring. Made his name look like one of those Sri Lankan cricket players.
Good one, Dot. What was that?
Oh, no, that was just the Ghoul of Westminster. He's harmless.
Glad I didn't spot him at the ceremony, Dot. I would have wet myself.
It was freezing inside the Abbey too. Why didn't they put the heaters on, Mabel?
Sure, you're kidding, aren't you? Haven't you seen how much electricity is in England?
Yeah, but the King could have forked out some coin for that. He's just inherited the royal family's $28 billion fortune, the bloody miser.
Yeah, nah, fair enough. Would have been less embarrassing too than changing His Majesty into his warm clothes. He's not a baby, changing him in the middle of church like that. But he did look nice and warm in that fluffy robe and hat they gave him.
Should have just put the heater on for a minute, I reckon.
Well, that was almost it. Charles opened a few presents. There were a lot of boring ones. I don't think anyone knew what to get him. Although those gardening gloves were fantastic. He probably got stuck into a bit of weeding when he got home.
Oh, great weather for a spot of weeding, wasn't it?
Oh, it was perfect. So they got him and the whole gang back up to the royal balcony for one final wave to the soaking wet peasants below. And that was it. A marvellous occasion and well worth the money, I would have thought.
Well, you don't do these things every day, do you?
Yeah, nah, you're right, you know. And with Charles becoming the oldest monarch in British history, old Brian Sockington at INN might have to send us back over to England for the next coronation soon, eh?
Yeah, I hope so. First class flight would be nice too, eh?
Jeez, Dot, one sniff of royalty, eh? You'll want to ride in the golden carriage next.
Get lost, Mabel.
Some were less than enthusiastic about the royal event. Meghan Markle, wife of the king's red-haired son, staying in Los Angeles with her kids to save money on a babysitter and lower her carbon footprint. Prince Harry was obliged to attend, despite having slagged off the royal family for 416 pages in his tell-all book Spare, launched earlier in the year. The book promotion should help Harry sell enough copies to keep him off the unemployment line for now. The Australian Broadcasting Company also seemed put out by having to cover the coronation, stacking its pre-event panel with anti-monarchy identities including the head of the National Republican movement, Craig Foster, and Wurundjeri journalist and author of the book The Queen is Dead, Stan Grant. The panel used the build-up to the historic event to criticise the monarchy's role in modern Australia for almost an hour prior to the ceremony. Over 1,800 people called to complain about the segment, although in comparison 6 million called a voting line during the recent season of Australian Idol. Grant was particularly scathing, using a long-forgotten tactic called the truth to call out the monarchy for its historical disregard of Indigenous Australians, suggesting the country consider forging its own path forward without a British head of state. Such was the backlash from Australians wanting to watch a parade without thinking too much. Grant made the decision to step down from his media roles, although the book promotion should help Stan sell enough copies to keep him off the unemployment line for now. Rupert Holsworthy, INN News.
Meanwhile, rumours continue to circulate that former Scottish First Minister Nicola Sturgeon, an active campaigner for Scottish independence from the United Kingdom, will be arrested imminently after an investigation into financial misconduct by her own Scottish National Party. Sounds like the King has gotten off to a good start.